Hey guys, Sean here. This is an overview of how to submit a file to us as far as filling out the paperwork. I'm going to go through this step by step because we've had some folks a little bit of confusion on filling this out and turning it in correctly. We are going to lead you back to this video when we see you've made a mistake on filling it out. So hopefully this is going to answer any questions you may have and take you through step by step. This is for the National Surplus Funds Program. And let's start right at the top. But before I do that, before I go into this, understand guys, if you get nothing else out of this video, there is a link from your ebook. That link goes to a resources page. That resources page has updated information on it. Okay? There's also a referrals page that has updated information on it. It's extremely important you check for updates, guys. This what I'm going through right now, this chain of title, it may be changed in the future. If you downloaded or looked at it earlier and we've changed it and it's been over a week, we're going to kick your file back because you should have checked that page. Also be sure to check, there's also a page that shows you everything we're currently working, so you're not going to duplicate anyone's efforts, and that really helps us avoid issues with that. Doesn't happen frequently, but it's nice to know it's there and it's updated Monday through Friday in the evening. Okay. This is the surplus funds chain of title. Follow along with me here. The sale type, there are really three groups or types of sale. Again, it had to have sold in order to create surplus funds. Tax sale, all right, this is city, county taxes. In Texas in particular, this can also be school taxes. It's being held by the county. We consider that a school tax or a tax sale. Okay, again, properties can be sold at a tax sale for city taxes, county taxes. I believe there's even regional areas where they can do that. Municipalities. You have in Louisiana, you have parishes. So that's going to all be tax sale. Homeowners association is either a homeowner or a condo association if they're the ones that had the foreclosure or the auction. Mortgage is going to be any banks, okay? You've got banks. You also have individual mortgages that can be foreclosed upon, but those are rare. Anyway, there's your groups, guys. It was either a mortgage foreclosure, homeowners association foreclosure, or a tax sale. Name of the person or entity foreclosed on. Now, you're going to notice something. This is extremely important. That's the case name. You'll notice we also have deed holder at time of foreclosure. Why do we have two different, aren't they the same person? Not necessarily. The person that's being foreclosed on by the bank might not be, for instance, John Smith and Mary Smith may be married. John might have gotten a mortgage in his name. When they're conducting the foreclosure, they may be foreclosing only against John, when in reality, the deed holder was John and Mary, or whatever it is. Whoever's on the deed, the last deed prior to the sale. The last deed prior to the sale was the owner at the time of the foreclosure. Okay? Up here again, the entity foreclosed upon can be different than that. Another time you're going to see this is when in tax sales, often the tax collectors will not update the owner of the property frequently. So they may be foreclosing on the property and they've got John Smith as the owner, but he quitclaimed that deed to someone else 2 years ago. Again, that's why this is different. Person foreclosed upon, we have to know who that was, or persons, right? And the deed holder at the time of the foreclosure, which is extremely important. Now, note this line here. Not the buyer. We don't want the person that purchased it at the foreclosure or the tax sale. We don't want that. We want the name of the person that owned it just prior to, the person that lost the property, the last deed holder prior to the sale. Extremely important. This is happening a lot where people are putting the wrong name in here. They're putting the person that bought the property at the foreclosure or the tax auction. We don't want that person. Okay? Deed recordation date, this is extremely important. This would be the deed of the person that owned it just before the foreclosure, or whoever had it last before it was foreclosed on. That's the date we need when that deed was recorded. There should be a book or page. Sometimes it's called an instrument or document number, or even a reference number. You'll see more about that in the title worksheet. But again, very important. This is an ongoing issue. The deed recordation date is the date that the person that had the property last acquired it. When did they get the deed? This is the person that had it last, right before the foreclosure, the last owner before the foreclosure. Who was it? When did that deed get recorded? Because you're going to be providing that deed to us, okay? File or case number. In general, you're going to see with mortgage foreclosures, it'll be file or case numbers or case descriptor. You can also use parcel ID numbers in tax sales. Often they will use parcel ID. Now understand something, guys, and I think this is I'm going to back up a little bit. Up here, we want the deed holder on this particular line of the person that owned it prior to the sale. Sometimes you're going to get a list. I've seen this with tax sale overage lists where they list the buyer's name, okay? That's not the name you're going to put down here. You have to do the research, see who owned it, and again, not the buyer, the deed holder prior to the sale. All right, let's keep going. Surplus funds amount, that's in there. How did you verify surplus still being held? Online case history. Now, let me make something clear. The only type of online check you're going to be able to use here, checking on this, is if they actually have case history, meaning you can go in and say, look, here's when the motion was for the foreclosure or the tax sale. Here's when this happened. Here's when that happened. Most times, you're going to need to call the court. Who did you speak to at the court to double check the money's still being held? Guys, there are no black helicopters flying over the courthouse. It's a phone call. Don't be afraid. If you get their email, you can also ask through email. But their job is to tell you. So buck up. Don't be afraid to make the call. Also, the department name and the phone number you called. We're going to check, guys. Okay? And it's important. So when we go to claim this money, look, we've had it before where people said they had checked and they hadn't. We found out pretty quickly because a claim had been made. We put a deal together. Turns out a claim was made prior to the research time, and we knew the person lied to us. So please don't do that. This helps both of us, guys. You're not wasting time. Now, listen, if they tell you, look, that list that's up there was updated yesterday, and no, I don't have anybody making a claim, you're golden, but you got to know who to talk to, and you have to verify. Again, county and state, county where it foreclosed, state where it foreclosed, the date you reviewed it, your name. Listen, however you filled out that independent contractor agreement, that's what I need here. And I need to be able to read all this stuff, guys. Look, do not leave stuff blank or put NA. If there's a blank, we want it filled out. I mean, it's really that simple. The date of the foreclosure. Now, usually you're going to see that the date that the auction was held. If for some reason you're not seeing a date auction was held, it should show it to you. You'll be able to see the deed that was actually transferring ownership at the auction. And that date, you can use that as well. All right? Foreclosing entity. Who foreclosed, guys? Was it Bank of America? Was it Nations Bank? Was it Travis County? Who foreclosed on the property? Here's your checklist. We need a copy of the list showing show your list, guys. I don't care if you cross through the rest of the cases. As long as we can see that case on there, we're fine. Copy of the deed showing ownership at the time of foreclosure. You'll notice that above. Again, not the buyer. This is the deed that had who owned it right before the sale. Next one is copy of the foreclosure deed. Now we do want that deed where it was transferred from whoever the owner was to whoever the new buyer is. Sometimes in tax sales, that'll be a sheriff's deed or a trustee's deed, okay? It's going to show a transfer at the actual auction or foreclosure. But we want that in addition to the deed showing who owned it prior. Got me? Okay. Copy of the county deeds official records page showing that you searched the owner's name. In other words, you're showing your work. You actually had to go and check to see if there were mortgages on the property. You plugged in the name, you hit enter, the page came up and showed you results. Get us a copy of that. Copy of the tax assessor, also called sometimes the tax collector or property appraiser's page on the property. You have to check that, guys. We need a copy of that. Copy of any unpaid mortgages. The first 3 pages only, guys. Keep in mind the balance of all unpaid mortgages must still leave, at minimum, $15,000 to the ex-owner. So if there's $60,000 in overage, but there's a $50,000 mortgage, right? A mortgage that's owed $50,000 that only leaves 10. We're not going to take it. We've actually had people turn it in where it was 50 grand in overage, but there was a mortgage for 100, and they said, hey, go for it. No, we can't. The mortgage is owed 100,000. The owner can't get the money. We're not working with mortgages. Okay. Copies of mortgage calculations, releases, or satisfactions. All that is in the training that Jeff put together. He did a heck of a job on that. Copy of online case history showing there are no claims, right? If you're going to use the online case history and the money's still being held. This is required if you check the online case history box. Otherwise, call them. All right, let's keep going. This is your first page of mortgage history, guys. Look, we need every mortgage that was ever taken out. That includes equity lines, right? Second mortgages, anything, any type of mortgage, you're going to list it. Who was the lender? What was the original amount? When was this particular mortgage created or recorded? There will be a recordation date on that mortgage, usually in the upper right-hand corner. The book and page, okay? If they don't use book and pages, it may be an instrument number. Was it satisfied or paid off? You got check boxes here. You can put yes or no, and then you got open, meaning not satisfied. Yep. Or if it was the foreclosing entity, guys, it's satisfied. In other words, if the only mortgage you found was from Bank of America, and Bank of America foreclosed, they were owed 60, they got their money, there's a 20,000 in overage, you check foreclosing entity. You'd know that doesn't count anymore. They took the house. Was it assigned to another bank? If yes, who has it now? Okay. If it's satisfied, in other words, paid off, satisfied, or terminated, or released, if it is, give the book and page number as a reference so that we know that you actually saw that and you didn't make an assumption. And guys, always, I've said this in another video, always read the deed. Because sometimes that deed will say, hey, we're satisfying this deed of trust or this mortgage, we're satisfying it, but it doesn't release the debt. That means all they're doing is cleaning up the title so that someone else can resell it, but the debt still exists. If it says, read it. If it says that, then you still got to count that debt, okay? It's not satisfied. All right. You got multiple entries here, multiple places, same thing over and over. If you need more, if there's more, add another page, not a big deal. All right. Now we're looking at judgments and liens, and I know this is misspelled here, but judgments and liens. Some counties allow to search. You can write in open liens or judgments here. Guys, if you can search judgments or liens against the person in the court, go ahead and do it. I mean, yeah, we're going to do that with TLO, but go ahead and do it. I mean, look, if there's a $50,000 IRS lien and it's $30,000, right? $50,000 IRS lien, there's $30,000 in surplus. Hey, you could stop right now and not turn this in because you know it's dead because you were able to see it online. Most areas you cannot do that, but just so you know, if you can, go ahead and do it. It'll save you time and us time. And you got all the judgments. We went into detail as to how to calculate current amount, including interest accrued and all that, their name, the amount, the original amount, when that judgment was recorded, okay? We're going to want to see, if it's not satisfied, we want to know about it. Okay, National Surplus Fund's conclusion. I can't believe the number of folks who don't fill this out. We need to have the conclusion. Who's first in line, guys? Is it the owner? Great. If there's no other debt, fantastic. Put them in there. Put the amount that they're owed, the surplus funds. If it's a bank or someone else, put them first. And of course, again, if the bank is owed $50,000 and there's only 30 plus in surplus, stop. Don't turn it in, guys. Yeah, the bank's first in line. All right. This is extremely important. And I think this is what is driving us a little nuts. We're really trying to help you guys by updating the referrals page that I talked about earlier, and also the questions and answers page on the support page. Guys, read that page. There will be changes there. The rules are all laid out there. It's extremely important that you keep up to date on that. All pages must be filled out correctly. And listen, if there are no mortgages, those pages can be left blank, but you still need to include it with the file. In other words, you still got to go, hey, here's where I checked it. Get us a copy where you checked mortgages and it shows nothing showing up. Get us that information so we know what you're working with. And that's also a way for you to commit. We know that you said, hey, there's no debt. I'd make a note. Hey, no mortgages found. Okay. Fill out the conclusion page correctly. If there's debt, it goes in first positions based on recording date and end of the ex-owner deed holders. Do not leave the conclusion page. We're going to reject it, guys. We do not work with banks. See rule number 3 on the referrals page. If all owners are deceased, we will not take the file. We won't. All right. That's it in a nutshell, guys. It's really not difficult. We've taken a lot of this. Actually, we've simplified this over time. What's most important is that you keep up to date on changes by going to that resources page, going to that referrals page, and you really take your time and submit it correctly. I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this. Hope you have a great day.